Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Jyotiraditya. Good evening, Diganta. Good evening, Zaid, VL, Jyoti. So, how was your Diwali? Was it good? How many of you did burst crackers? Good evening, Nikita, Prachi, Harshita, Yasari. Good to hear that. So, all of you created pollution in your cities. Did anyone had the opportunity but did not burst crackers? ऐसा कोई है? धुआं धुआं कर दिए. Good evening, ASB. Good evening, Rohini. Give me a minute so that we can begin. Rupa, Baga, good evening. Okay, 100 रुपए में you get crackers. So how many of you did धुआं धुआं in your city? Smoke and smoke everywhere. Not a clean air to breathe. I hope you get the reference. इतने पटाखे फोड़ेंगे धुआं धुआं हो जाएगा. Okay. Last year's stock already there. Okay. So today what we'll do, you can understand the past few days, it was not just festival for us, but it was also festival for newspaper walas, right? So the content of the newspaper in the past few days have been very thin. So what I'll do today is we'll discuss important events that were already given in your notes, but because of the lack of time, we weren't able to clear it, right? So today we'll cover all those important events. Okay. Agreed, everyone? Done? Now, India's re-engagement with Afghanistan. Why are we discussing this? Any idea? Because the Afghan foreign minister Amir Khan Muttaqi was in his official visit to New Delhi. Yes. And you know which organization does this person belongs to? The organization of Taliban. So can you tell me what has been the historical approach of Indian government towards different regimes in Afghanistan? Can anyone tell me? Now, India's approach towards any government in Afghanistan that has been democratic or that has been monarchy is that India considered them good. Okay? And if there is any radical organization ruling over Afghanistan, particularly Taliban, India considered them bad. So, this has been India's historical approach towards its relations with Afghanistan. Right? Do you agree? So is it a moralistic approach or is it a realistic approach that Indian government had towards Afghanistan? Was it driven by moral values? Was it driven by civilizational values? Or was it driven by realism? Was it driven by structural realism? Moral. Right. India's approach before was very moral centric. Can you tell me the problems with this moral centric approach? Aarti, Harshita, no Shaktiraj today. He's very participative in the class. So when he doesn't come, so can anyone tell me what is the problem? Why India is not following moral centric approach? If a Talibani person who is now the foreign minister of Afghanistan, he has come, don't you think this signifies a shift in Indian government's approach towards Afghanistan? What did I tell you? What is supreme? As far as India is concerned, what do you think is supreme? National interest, good ASB. So don't you think if India was following moral centric approach and if it was not leading to furthering of national interest, that is why India has changed this approach? Right? Now, this background is also very important, but I am not going to go into detail. What you have to understand that before 1979, there was this monarchical government in Afghanistan. And you can understand from this line, whenever there is a monarchical government in Afghanistan, India had good relations with them. After 1979, what happened in Afghanistan? Can anyone tell me? What changed in Afghanistan after 1979? Invasion of USSR. Invasion of USSR. Soviet Russia invaded Afghanistan. So Soviet Russia helped set up a government after they invaded Afghanistan. So what do you think was India's approach towards that government? Was India with that government or was India against that government? If you can recall, Soviets were one of our closest allies. So if any government Soviet must have set up in Afghanistan, even though they were controlled by Soviets, India had good relations with that government. Right? Understood? Now, after the disintegration of Soviet or after the withdrawal of Soviets from Afghanistan, who do you think came into power in Afghanistan? Remember the timeline? After 90s? After 90s up till 2001? Who came into power? Taliban came into power. And what was India's historical approach with respect to Taliban? Now, one significant development happened in Afghanistan with respect to India in 1999. Can any one of you recall that? In 1999, what happened in Afghanistan with respect to India? No, not in 1999, not in Tashkent, no, not America. Do you remember hijacking of Indian Airlines plane IC-814? That was traveling from Kathmandu to Delhi and it was hijacked. And where was it taken to? It was taken to ultimately to Kandahar. Kandahar is in Afghanistan. So, even though India did not have good relations with Taliban, India had to negotiate with them just to get our passengers and our plane free. So this highlighted that in case if you don't have good relations with the government and anyhow, just matter of luck, just matter of chance, even if you have to deal with them, don't you think this goes against our national interest? At least we could have a working relationship with Taliban. Taliban invariably supported the hijackers. They did not allow Indian special forces who were on the plane with Indian foreign minister when he went there to kill the terrorist or kill the hijackers. How many of you know that Indian foreign minister went to Kandahar just to get the aircraft released? But inside that plane, there were many NSG commandos. And India planned that if Taliban would allow them, we would raid that plane and we would rescue our people. But that did not happen. Why? Taliban did not agree to it. So this highlights our structural problem that we did not have even a working relationship with Taliban. And then a big development happened in 2001. What is this development I am talking about? This development is called as 9/11. And after 9/11, what happened? United States of America invaded Afghanistan. And this was called as War Against Terror. Yes. So after US invaded Taliban, what do you think? What kind of government was set up in Afghanistan? Democratic government, and we had good relations with that government. So good relations that we even helped development of infrastructure in Afghanistan. And another big development happened in year 2021. What was that development? What was that development? Withdrawal of United States of America and return of Taliban. So what do you think changed from 90s to 2021 that we are now engaging with Taliban? Why India is now engaging with Taliban? I gave you an answer for our national interest. But why Taliban in Afghanistan earlier was against our national interest and now why are we engaging with them? Can anyone tell me? Can you even guess? Don't worry if you can't guess, I will tell you eventually. But I want you to guess first. Okay, practicality, trade and West Asia, you mean? To harness natural resources, okay, okay. Now, few developments are happening even without India with respect to Afghanistan. First, when Taliban was earlier into power in 1990s, Pakistan cultivated a very good relations with them. You know why? Terrorist, bhai bhai. Okay. So what good relations Pakistan developed with Taliban. So after the withdrawal of USSR, the terrorists had nothing to do. So Pakistan proposed that I have come up with something very similar to Manrega. Pakistan proposed that terrorists who are sitting idle now in Afghanistan, why don't I provide you inlet in the Indian state of Jammu and Kashmir? And you can create violence there because it would first of all provide you some kind of an employment and it would provide Pakistan with a kind of what was known as strategic depth against India. Right? So the terrorists who were trained by Pakistan by using the money of US just to create problems against USSR, after withdrawal of USSR, they were unemployed. They were sitting idle. So Pakistan proposed that तुम्हें violence करना है ना, so I will provide you violence if you go to J&K. And it will damage India's interest and it will further Pakistan's interest. And this was called as Pakistan's strategic depth. But this time, Pakistan's relations with Taliban is not well. You know the reason why? Well, have you heard of this organization, TTP? Have you heard of this organization, TTP? Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan. It is basically a franchisee of Taliban who operates in Pakistan, particularly in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. So when Taliban came back to power in 2021, Pakistan's ISI head, he directly went to Kabul requesting Taliban regime to control TTP terrorists because they were creating problems in Pakistan. But Taliban said no. Taliban said that they are our Pashtun brothers. So I won't rein them in. So that is why the relations between Pakistan and Taliban now are strained. So this is first option. What is the conventional morality? The enemy of your enemy is your friend, right? So who is the enemy of our enemy now? Taliban. Understood? First reason. Any doubts? Why Pakistan's relations with Taliban has now strained? Because of TTP. Another reason is that after withdrawal of US, Afghanistan needs some support. And who is providing the support? Emperor Xi and his government. China said that don't worry, I will create infrastructure. If you agree to BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, you have a lot of mineral resources. I will help you extract those resources and I will give you some money from those resources which you otherwise don't have the technology to extract. Right? So this is second reason that China is expanding its influence. And even though our relationship with China is now mended somehow, but we don't want China's increased influence in a region where we also have our interest. Who's stopping China later on to create problems in Afghanistan, and that problems will also trickle down to India. Third reason, as I told you, during the democratic regime in Afghanistan, when US was there, India created a lot of infrastructure. India's relations with the people of Afghanistan improved. So India tried to create trade with Afghanistan, and for that it developed Chabahar port in Iran, right? So don't you think our investment in Chabahar port, our investment in Afghanistan would go down the drain if we don't improve our relations with Taliban? Not just for our benefit, but also for Afghanistani people benefit. Right? Forget about Trump right now. Bhul jao Trump kaun hai. We are discussing what? Afghanistan. And Russia also proposed a Moscow format consultation as India is having very good relations with Russia. So therefore India also agreed that yes, our stance towards Afghanistan will be cautious, but still we would engage with Afghanistan. And you know, this engagement started in Qatar. One of our diplomats, who is also the head of India's Middle East desk, he went and first interacted with Amir Khan Muttaqi, then India's foreign secretary interacted, and then only Amir Khan Muttaqi came to India. So yes, do you think India has provided official recognition to Talibani regime? Has India provided official recognition to Talibani regime? No, we haven't provided official recognition to Talibani regime. Why? Because we can't be seen recognizing an organization which follows radical concept of Islam. But yes, for our own benefit, we are interacting with them. We are saying that no, we won't provide you official recognition, but in some cases, we will interact with you. Dosti nahi ki hai. Just it is a interaction of convenience, you can say. Okay? Any doubts up till now? So why is strong India-Afghanistan relation in India's interest? You can read it. Now, what are the challenges? This is important. First is the ideological divide, right? What is India known for? What is India known for? India is known for being a democratic country, which is also secular in nature. Bimal, why do you think Afghanistan has gotten so against Pakistan? Who do you think is providing help to Afghanistan? Intelligence help. Afghanistan or Talibani government, do you think it has the resources, it has the expertise to engage with a professional army like Pakistani army? So how is it killing Pakistani officials? How is it killing Pakistani army officials? Don't you think somewhere down the line India might be helping them? Indian intelligence might be providing them with inputs or information where Pakistani establishments are, so that they can create problems for Pakistan. Understood this, Bimal? Any doubt, students? Now let us talk about India's electronic sector. What has changed with respect to India's electronic sector? How many of you own iPhone? How many of you use iPhone? Tell me. Some of you might be using iPhone. कोई तो करता होगा ना. Sunanda, Nikita, anyone else? Jyotiraditya, anyone else? Karishma. So a few iPhone users. Where do you think your iPhone is made? Have you seen the box? इंडिया. पुराना आईफोन है क्या? Have you heard of these companies? Have you heard of these companies? You know, all of these brands belong to one company only, called as BBK Electronics. Did you know that? And this is a Chinese company. But you know where the phones are made? The phones are made in Noida. There is also a city near Chennai. Have you heard of this place, Sri Perumbudur? It falls in Chennai district only. Have you heard of this city anywhere, Sri Perumbudur? Former Prime Minister Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated here. Yes. But now this city has developed, and this is also one of the major cities where mobiles are manufactured in India. So Sri Perumbudur in Chennai and Noida in UP, these two are mobile hubs of India. Most of the mobile phones in India either are manufactured in these two districts. Most, not all. Akshay, I'm coming to that. Don't worry. And this is because India's electronic sector has grown rapidly. How much it has grown? It has grown nearly 6 times. It was worth 1.9 lakh crores in 2014-15, and 10 years afterwards, it became 11.3 lakh crore. Not just our electronics production grew, even our electronics exports have surged. That the iPhones that are made in India are being sold in different countries. The OnePlus phones, Oppo, Vivo phones made in India are being sold in another countries. And this has created over 25 lakh jobs. Is this number small? 25 lakh jobs is huge, huge number. Roughly 1/4 the population of Israel. And see, these are the developed countries. This is where our mobile phones are going. So now India has over 300 mobile manufacturing units. Earlier we just had 2 units. So this is the growth of our electronic sector. Can anyone tell me the problem? We all know the impact. Can anyone tell me the problems? So after the class, please remember these initiatives. Why has grown? Because of government's schemes, PLI scheme, SPEC scheme, ECMS scheme, etc. Right? E-waste is still a problem. Even if we import electronics, don't you think e-waste would be a problem? So can you tell me the problems that exist? Don't look at the board. Tell me the problems, ESP. You were right about one problems. Okay, good. Vansh, anyone else? Kritika, Jyotiraditya, Sunanda, Nikita, Bimal, Harshita. Have you heard of this term? Have you heard of this term? What do you think is the value addition level of our India's electronic sector? What is value addition? Can anyone tell me? Suppose I'm a bread manufacturer, so I might be procuring wheat from a farmer and I might be converting that wheat to bread and selling that bread in the market. So suppose I'm a bread manufacturer who purchases wheat worth 100 rupees, and using this wheat I manufacture bread whose value now is 250 rupees. So what is the value addition I'm doing here? How much is the value addition I'm doing here? Value addition worth 150 rupees. But you know the problem with value addition in India in electronic sector, it is just 15 to 20%. And you know why our value addition is less? Because we are importing raw material used to make mobile, we are importing screens, we are importing microchips, we are importing other smaller components like PCBs. Right? And we are importing them from China. So yes, we are manufacturing mobile phone, but this is not actually manufacturing. This is assembling of mobile phones. And what do we need? Do we need more value addition or do we need less value addition for our economy? What do you think is good? More value addition. We need, yes, we understand due to modern economy, some parts obviously are going to be made in different countries. But once we start importing that parts, we need to add more value to it. Right? So that is one of our problem, that we still are dependent on import. So yes, our exports are increasing, but that has come at a cost of increased imports also. Another problem I told you, India's R&D is very less. It is just 0.64% of the GDP. China's is 2.1%. South Korea is 4.9%. So because of lack of R&D, don't you think we are unable to develop important components that goes in electronics? Don't you think to develop semiconductors, we also need to invest and research and develop semiconductors? And what did I tell you? Whose contribution is more to India's R&D? Is it government or is it private sector? I told you this before. You should be able to tell me this right now. Two-thirds of India's total R&D expenditure is done by government only. And only 1/3 of total R&D investment is done by private. And who manufactures mobile phone? Is it private or government? Private. Also, we have infrastructural and logistic bottlenecks. What do you need to manufacture mobile phone? Power. So our cost of power is high. Our ports are congested, so we aren't able to send and bring as much as imports as we could have in lesser amount of time. And this also adds to our production cost. So our goods to be competitive in external markets, what do we need? More production cost or less production cost? Less production cost. And what kind of labor is employed in electronic sector? Is it unskilled, moderately skilled, low skilled, or highly skilled? What kind of labor do you require? Highly skilled labor. And do we have availability of highly skilled labor in India? We have less availability of highly skilled labor. Only 5% of our total workforce is formally skilled, and if you add informally skilled people also, total amount of skilled workforce is just 15%. So that is also another problem. You know the mosquito bat, how many of you use mosquito bat to kill mosquitoes? Very effective. All out से कहाँ मरते हैं mosquitoes? We have to use that bat, right? Chit chit करता है जो. You know, mosquitoes are a big problem in India. Mosquitoes are a big problem in India. All of you agree that? And one of the ways to counter mosquitoes is that bat. And you know that bat is also manufactured in China. Understand the technological levels of that bat. Compare that to mobile phones. If we can't even manufacture that bat at a less production cost, do you think we would be able to manufacture the entire phone ourselves? So this is the problem. Now next topic, green transition of Indian railways. Now any idea why are we dealing with this topic? Green transition of Indian economy you have heard of. Why are we discussing green transition of Indian railways? Any idea? Government कब तक help करेगा? Till how long can government help? Don't you think private sector should also take initiative? Now have you looked at mains paper recently? Any mains, UPSC mains paper? Has anyone taken a look at a mains paper, GS paper 3? Yes. You'll realize there has been a shift in the kind of questions that UPSC is asking. Earlier, UPSC was asking very generalized question in mains. So it would ask a question on green transition, or it would ask a question on Indian railways. Now UPSC is going deeper. So it would ask you questions relating to economy and it would link it with environment. And it would also now go deeper into the topic. Right? So earlier questions were how AI would impact Indian economy. Right? Now questions are asked how will Indian AI impact agriculture. Have you taken a look at question recently? It was on drones. It asked you how can drones impact agriculture. Earlier questions on drone, only a statement would be there on agriculture that yes, drones have multiple use. It can be used for security related purposes, it can be used for traffic monitoring, it can be used for land assessment, it can be used for agriculture. But now the entire 250 worded questions is on use of drone for agriculture. So do you think if you prepare a topic generally you would be able to answer this question? No. So that is why we need, in some topics that are in news, we need to go deeper. And this is one of the instances. Yes, Prachi, good. Now tell me, students, in what areas can railway promote transition to green energy? What are the areas in which railways can transition into green energy? Tell me, everyone. I want you to answer. Then I will tell you what are the areas. Engine station, okay. Anything else? You agree with this? Networks? Locomotives, engines हो गया. Now currently, passenger trains and freight trains, they move around in a same track. Have you experienced this? Have you seen this? That there is a one railway track. On that railway track, even the freight trains are going, even the passenger trains are going. And when passenger trains are late, freight trains are asked to stop in some station and then the passenger trains goes ahead. So don't you think it reduces the efficiency? That freight trains are taking longer time, burning more fuel. So if we create a separate dedicated freight corridors just so that freight trains can move on this track and it would leave the usual track for passenger trains, don't you think we would improve the efficiency? Is it or is it not? Now let us talk about engine. Has one big improvement happened in this particular areas in development of locomotives? Government is in a process of converting every diesel powered engine to electric powered engine. Understood? So this is one of the green transition. But how do you think majority of electricity in India is generated? %70 of electricity even today are generated from thermal power. So don't you think we are just shifting the pollution burden? Yes, railway engines are getting electrified, but how are we generating electricity? Coal? Now, what are the key initiatives that is driving the green transition of railways? First is clean energy and electrification. Government has given a target that by 25 to 26, broad gauge network will be 100% electrified. Any idea what is a broad gauge? Any idea what is a broad gauge? What is this term, broad gauge? Not heavy engines. The distance between the tracks is what is called as gauge. So there are three types of gauge: narrow gauge, meter gauge and broad gauge. Broad gauge is about 1.34 meters wide. So this distance between the two tracks are 1.34 meters. Meter gauge, as you can understand, is 1 meter. Narrow gauge is less than 1 meter. So most of the trains that operate in India are on broad gauge. In some areas, narrow gauge trains operate, that is in Himalayan regions. So now government is trying to increase the deployment of broad gauge and 100% electrifying them. Yes. Can anyone tell me the exact length of broad gauge? What is the distance between? As far as I can remember, it is 1.34 meters. Most of the lines on Delhi Metro are also on broad gauge. Some are not. Okay, 1.67 meters. And what is narrow gauge? Somebody is telling me 1.43 meters. Somebody is telling me 1.67 meters. I guess it should be 1.43 or 1.34 something. 5 feet and 6 inches. 5 feet and 6 inches is basically 170 centimeters, 168. So 167 centimeters. Okay. Narrow gauge is 762 or 76.2 centimeters. Okay. Okay. So I am incorrect. It is 1.67 meters. Meter gauge is 1 meter and this is 762 mm. Good. Also, solar panels are being installed on trains, stations and railway lines so that solarization of stations and railway network is also happening. Government is also testing use of hydrogen in the future. That if they start using hydrogen fuel cells in the train, this would replace the more polluting source of power, right? Government is also trying to undertake biofuel blending. You know now what is biofuel blending? Blending of diesel with biofuels. Yes, Nitin Gadkari, good. There is also modal shift that is happening. As I told you, don't you think we require more efficient railway networks? So for that, dedicated freight corridors are being created. So this would reduce travel time and this would save a lot of fuel also. One more thing that the government is focusing on is increasing the railway share in total freight that has been transported in India. Presently, most of the freight that is being transported in India is through road networks. And you understand, transporting anything through road is not just more expensive, but it is also more polluting. So if we shift most of the cargo that moves through road towards railway, it would not just help reduce logistical cost, but it will also help reduce pollution, right? So National Rail Plan has theorized that from present 27% of total share, it would increase to 45%. Now these facts are very important, okay? So please do not skip on them. You can skip on these facts, but this is very important, percentage wala. Now, what are areas of improvement? First, obviously, I told you, source of electricity. That if we, although electrify our railway network, but if we use coal power or thermal power to power them, what's the point? Right? Any doubt, students? Have you heard of this? India, Middle East, Europe Economic Corridor? So before discussing this, tell me other important corridors that India is going to develop. One corridor appeared in this year examination. Have you heard of this? International North-South Transport Corridor. Where does it go? This goes from India to Chabahar Port. Where is Chabahar Port? Iran. Then it goes to Afghanistan. From Afghanistan, it goes to Central Asian republics. From there, it enters Russia. And from St. Petersburg in Russia, it would enter into Europe, Eastern Europe. Have you heard of this? Kaladan Multimodal Transport Corridor. Has anyone heard of this? Yes, it connects Kolkata port to Sitwe port. Where is Sitwe port located? In Myanmar. And from Sitwe port, this would go to Mizoram, or that is Northeast India. So we have, what is the benefit of this corridor? Any idea? It reduces our dependence on Siliguri corridor. Can anyone tell me what is the width of Siliguri corridor? Where is it located? The width of Siliguri corridor is 22 kilometers. Chicken's neck. Yes, good ASB. So it reduces our dependence on Siliguri corridor, that if we have to transport goods from Kolkata to Mizoram, we have three options. First is through Siliguri corridor, which can be vulnerable. Second option is through Bangladesh, but we all know what is happening in Bangladesh. Can we rely on Bangladesh? No. So the third option is through Myanmar, and that is why Kaladan multimodal transport has been developed. Now let us discuss the India-Middle East Economic Corridor. Understood these two corridors? Any doubts in these two corridors? And what is the benefit of INSTC? Can anyone tell me? This was also a question. Kaladan. Kaladan. Can anyone tell me what is the benefit of INSTC? This was also a question in UPSC before. It helps us bypass Pakistan. So without INSTC, we have two options. Either we send goods through Pakistan or we send goods by air. So that is why, to bypass Pakistan entirely, we are developing INSTC, not to counter CPEC, to counter Pakistan. Now let us talk about IMAC, okay? Now before talking about INSC, let us understand the components of INSC. IMAC consists of two components. First component is this. It is called as Eastern component. Eastern component is a sea route which connects India to Arabian Gulf. And then this component from UAE to Israel is called as Western corridor, or is it called as Northern corridor, which connects Arabian Gulf to Europe through rail and maritime networks. So this is through rail and this is through maritime. So see the route. India to UAE to Saudi to Jordan to Israel to Greece to rest of Europe. And you know Haifa port in Israel, which company manages it? Haifa port is here, this part. Yes, good. So don't you think this is a good idea of Indian company managing such a crucial port? Now it connects maritime connectivity, railway network, clean energy pipeline, electricity cable, undersea distill cable, and logistics and industrial clusters. Some of them are operational, some of them are going to be operational. So does it mean all of them are currently operational? No. Please remember this much only. So if the question comes, what kind of components are included in IMAC, you should be able to answer it now. Right? It is not just trade, but it is also more important. Why? Not just it ensures trade efficiency, but also energy security and regional integration. Where do you think this idea came first at the first time? Where do you think this IMAC came into fruition for the first time? Where did it happen? Where did the 2023 G20 summit happen? And you know why this happened in 2023? Any significant geopolitical event that happened before 2023 that let India sign a deal with countries like UAE and even Israel? Earlier, UAE, Israel, they were on the two different sides. Have you heard of this? Yes, Abraham Accords. It was an accord which let many Middle Eastern countries formally recognize Israel. Earlier, Israel did not have formal relations with many Middle East countries. Is Saudi included in Abraham Accord? No. UAE is included. But Saudi gave its informal recognition to Abraham Accord. You know why? Just like why India can't formally recognize Taliban, similarly Saudi formally can't recognize Israel. You know, Saudi even helps Israel in its conflict with Iran. So whenever Israeli planes have to fly, Saudi does not disturb them. चले जाओ ऊपर से मारो उसको. So Saudi even today does not formally recognize Israel, but it helps Israel through intelligence, through other support also. And in reality, it would criticize Israel. So this is how diplomacy works. सामने कुछ और पीछे से कुछ और. So background, Abraham Accords, I2U2 and then G20. Why IMAC matters to India? Not bigger deal, but why is there a challenge? Tell me, why is this idea facing challenge currently? Can anyone tell me? Without looking at the board? Yes, good Akshay. You come from Karnataka, right? ESB? Which state has highest population of elephants? Karnataka, good. So the first problem is the conflict going on between Israel and Hamas. You have to understand one thing. Whenever there is a conflict going on in a region, there would be less investment, there would be less trade, there will overall be less business. ये ये समझ जाओ. In case with India, in case with one of the regions or regions of India, in case anywhere. This is gospel of truth. You can either fight a war or you can do business. Not one of them, not both of them together. So if you need business, what you have to do? You have to make peace or you have to make war? Peace. Also, there is a divergent strategic interest. Can anyone tell me what is the divergent strategic interest here? Can anyone tell me? Different energy motivations. What kind of energy is Middle Eastern countries known for? Fossil fuel. And what kind of energy is India asking them to for IMAC? Green energy. This is one strategical problem. Yes. Another problem is that this project requires multi-billion-dollar investment. So who will invest money? This is also a big problem. And you know, approval, when it is coming from Europe, the bureaucracy is quite high. You think bureaucracy is a big problem in India? You haven't gone to Europe. So approval of such projects coming into Europe might be difficult. Where do you think Indian bureaucracy emerged from? Where is India's bureaucracy, the idea of bureaucracy, the mechanism of bureaucracy emerged from? So you have the answer. So if India has a bureaucratic problem, don't you think those countries would have a bigger problem? One good thing about Europe is that they are very rich, filthy rich, generational rich. That is why they are very lazy also. Why are Indian and Chinese so hardworking? Because we have no other option. छोटे में होता था ना, whenever we were kids. Don't you think our parents used to say, पढ़ लो नहीं तो कुदाल चलाना पड़ेगा? Why they used to say that? Because we have no other options. We don't have generational wealth. But Europe, they have generational wealth. Any doubts? Yes, good Kritika. So these are the usual notes that I have already provided to you. Today I will get the usual notes uploaded. In that notes, very less things are important. Whatever is important, I will cover it later on. Twinkle, there is also a challenge in preparing for UPSC. Does it mean that you give up on preparing for UPSC? Is UPSC exam easy? So Twinkle, you have your answer. If something is challenging, that does not mean we stop doing it. If something is challenging, we have to address that challenge. Anyone can tell, can anyone tell me, can anyone tell Shivam my Telegram group? कोई तो बता दो शिवम को. Yes, right, Prachi. So we'll see each other again tomorrow. I hope the inertia of your holidays must be over right now. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good day, everyone. Bye bye. मिल गया ना शिवम ग्रुप? ये तो नहीं हुआ ना.